it's a total circus with these guys. So that's where it makes it super fun when we're getting paid a lot less. They're making it tough for us, and then they don't know what they're doing either. Oh God, you guys are literally already here. Well, since you're here already, why don't I tell you what we're gonna do today? It's gonna be a little different. So today, instead of taking you around a different part of Charlotte or going to look at a cool house or collaborating with a friend, we're gonna actually go and sit in on a panel that I'm gonna be speaking on with a few of my friends. But before we go, I need a little bit more coffee. So whether you're asked to speak on these panels or you have the opportunity to go, it's just good to be able to attend these events because you just never know what some of these top agents are going to be talking about. And it's nice when they can actually talk about these different things that they're seeing in the market today because a little too early for that. Just kidding. But it is really important to be able to go to these events and hear what agents in your community have to say. So whether you're here in Charlotte, whether you're in another city or another state, it's just important to be able to go to events with other agents and network with other agents. I talk about it all the time. Networking with other agents is massive for your business. And so going to events like this are also a great opportunity to network. So today's panel is actually being hosted by my lender partner, Christina Mauney, and her Team LBD with American Security Mortgage. And the reason why they're doing this panel is because even in the last month, the market, especially in Charlotte, has changed drastically. And so because of all these changes, they figured why not get a bunch of agents who are working hard and in the trenches every single day to sit up and talk about what we're seeing with our clients, what we're seeing with our sellers, what kind of conversations we're having with our buyers, what kind of conversations we're having with investors and hedge funds, and how are interest rates affecting that. All of those things are going to be what we're going to get into today, but I mean, it's about time for us to get going, so let's roll. It's the most serious buyers right now. Like that's who's coming out. Instead of getting 70 showings, 20 offers, and you have a whole slew of different things to go through with your sellers, which could take hours. Now we're gonna get 20 showings, we're gonna get 4 offers, instead of 10 of them being at list price, 5 being a little bit over list, and the other 5 being crazy. It's like 1 or 2 are at list or close to it, and then the other 1 or 2 are just gonna blow everyone out of the water, and they're gonna get the house.
Agreed, yeah.
And also, like, why is that? Like, why aren't people offering 50, 60, 70 a grand above list price? Because that money costs more now.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
When it was 2.75, 100 grand meant nothing.
You're right.
And so you just eat it. And so now the money actually means something, and they're actually having to take the weekend and think about that.
One other thing, back to the people reading the news and seeing things and being so doom and gloom, Matthew and I were talking about this just the other day, which is that think about where these people are sitting right now watching that news. So if someone's in New York watching that news, even if the market recesses in New York, it's still too expensive for them to buy something in New York with these higher interest rates. So what are they gonna do? They're gonna move to Charlotte because their job is fully remote. When people are sitting in New York or San Francisco or Chicago or Miami, wherever they are, this is a much cheaper city for them to come to. And if they're working fully remote and things are going like this in New York, it's still expensive. So that was something that I think will be interesting just to keep an eye on with the amount of people that are still moving here. I almost think with a recession, more people will move here.
Some of my clients that move into Charlotte are getting paid New York salaries, and they're living in Charlotte.
Yeah, they need
Charlotte's
these people to stay with these
city.
companies. So they are willing to move them down and pay them Boston prices. And they're living double their lifestyle the minute they set foot here. And that's not stopping. That's the one thing people will say, oh, I don't know what's gonna happen. I know what is happening. These Northerners, they are getting out.
I think it's not just about the cost of living that is bringing people here. I think it's a lifestyle. I lived in Manhattan for 7 years before moving to Charlotte. And what made us stay was not the price of a home or anything else. It was the quality of life is super different. And I think when you kind of go back to basics, I think we are seeing just a stabilization from the last 18 months that honestly, I don't see how that could sustain itself going forward.
It's just like a gut check.
Yeah. And so I think it's just, important to remind your clients of like the lifestyle here, because outside of work and styles of homes, there's a lot of neighborhoods. There's really something for everybody at different price points. Like Charlotte does offer a lot.
Well, and if you watch Smart Money too, like if you watch Big Money in Charlotte, like a good example too is David Tepper. Like he came in and not only did he bring more restaurants and all kinds of stuff, he brought a new soccer team to the city. Yeah. And the going rate for an MLS team was 200 million, 220 million. He spent 325 just to get one, to skip the line and to get an MLS team. Are they that good this year? That's for everyone else's opinion. But the games are amazing. And the games are a blast, and what Tepper's doing is he's getting butts in seats all year, and now he's doing concerts. So now we're getting big artists that are coming to Charlotte, playing at Panther Stadium. Like there's stuff to do. The other thing with that, to Brad's point, is when you hear the stats about June being the biggest month for contract cancellations, like if we figure out what the actual story is behind these contract cancellations, you can explain that to buyers. Because if buyers and sellers start hearing that contract cancellations are at an all-time high, it could literally be one hedge fund coming in and being like, we're not going to buy this 150 home community anymore. And then boom, there's 150 cancellations in one swoop. So you really want to get to like the bottom of what's going on. So it's good to hear how these things are starting to happen because we can explain that to our clients. I think now more than ever, we need to put these things out there to people because they'll just see the headline and go, oh my God, it's overvalued, and then they won't buy. So I tell my buyers, I'm not just putting your offer out there, I'm putting myself out there as your representative too. And if that listing agent doesn't want to work with me, they're sure as shit not going to pick your offer. Right. And so sometimes like there'll be offers where we're, number 3 out of 5 or 6, and we'll get picked because the agent's like, I just want to work. I want to work with you. It's the easiest way too to open up the conversation as a buyer's agent is you say, hey, what's important to your sellers? And if they tell you something, you just do it. Yeah. And if you don't do it, you're not going to get the house. So it's that simple, and it's amazing when you can tell a new agent something and you say that this closing date is very important and this seller possession end of the lease back is super important. And then they're like, well, we're just going to go ahead and do this and that. And they wonder why their offer didn't get picked.
How much of a positive impact we'd see if realtors across the board had access to production grade quality media in the form of photos and videos.
Personally, I don't think that there's a lacking of different companies that you could use. I do think that there is either sometimes a lack of education from agents or maybe just laziness and trying to, skip out and not pay the few $100s for professional pictures.
You should not be using iPhone photos as your MLS photos.
Yeah, and so I don't...
You need to get professional photos done and get it measured.
Right. It's just... I think that's another thing that just sets different agents apart is your ability to properly market it.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of hope people don't do it.
Me too.
Because they're like, oh, this listing and this look like crap, and then I come in there with video and lifestyle videos, everything else. So please don't do it. I love that. But if you are a true pro and you want to gain market share, you should be doing video, photos, drone, every single listing, period.
Boy, that was a killer panel. And honestly, it's awesome to be able to sit up there with all of those high producing agents here in Charlotte. And one of the biggest things, and I talk about this all the time, the reason why we were all up there is because we all network together. We're all friends. We're all producing every day. And so it's cool to be able to sit up there in front of all of our peers and be able to talk about what we're seeing in the market. So if you learned something today, or you liked what we had to talk about on that panel, or maybe you didn't agree with something that we talked about on the panel, be sure to drop a comment below. I would love to hear from you, and I'll catch you all next week. Oh, and be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube.